Hi, my name is Taylor Littig. I'm a senior here at MacMurray College, and this presentation is over facing an ethical dilemma at the probation office, which is where I'm doing my internship for my field seminar. My ethical dilemma that I encountered at the probation office had to deal with a client for this purpose I'm calling Alex, who the question was, should Alex be kept in jail before his trial, or should he be allowed to bond out? What had happened with Alex was that he was a heroin addict. And he came in one day without an appointment, very upset, very distraught, and told my agency instructor and I that if he didn't get help and didn't get put away, he was going to overdose. He was very scared. He said that he thought that, he didn't trust himself on his own anymore. We immediately got him into residential treatment at Gateway in Springfield. He said that he felt like this time treatment was going to help. He wanted to get in, get help, get better. But he was afraid if he didn't have this extra service that he was going to overdose. So we got him into treatment, and then 3 days later we got a call from Gateway saying that Alex left without staff advice. And immediately we were worried about his safety. He had already told us that he was afraid he was going to overdose if he was allowed on his own. So we did a petition to revoke his probation and immediately got a warrant for his arrest, and he was arrested the same day and put into jail. However, he immediately wanted out and was trying to find a way to get bond money together. This posed our ethical dilemma because do we let him out of jail where he's on his own and he doesn't have court for another month where he might possibly overdose, or allow him to bond out, which is part of his freedom and his choice of what he wants to do. So we weren't really sure what to do. We kind of talked about it a little bit and about which area. And then we actually had another situation pop up dealing with Alex. His sister called and told us that he had called asking for bond money, and she said that she would refuse to give it to him. He flat out said he was going to use as soon as he got out. And he's never used this much since he started using, according to his sister. So in the ethical decision-making process, I used the ethical principles screen, the EPS, to decide what was more important. On the scale it's a triangle. On the triangle, quality of life is the ethical principle number 1 on the EPS, which means it is the most important ethical principle. Whereas self-determination, autonomy, and freedom is ethical principle number 3. Although letting Alex bond out of jail would be his right to freedom, it would come into conflict with ethical principle number 1, his quality of life. Well, his protection of life. I'm sorry, I put that wrong up there. I used a quote from the book up here: freedom, though highly important, does not override the right to life or the survival of clients or of others. So we kind of looked at the risks and the benefits and which one was more important. And we realized that even though currently being in jail would not help his situation, he would be away from the heroin, away from drugs, and it would help him get clean until his trial. Another reason why we decided this is using the NASW Code of Ethics. The ethical value that we focused on was dignity and worth of the person. Although Alex does not quite see it himself, we see him as, his life is worth trying to save. And even though he doesn't want to be in jail right now, that's what's going to save him. He's not going to have access to the drugs until he goes to court and gets resentenced. And also, hopefully this will help him change. If we can get him back into treatment where he cannot leave, hopefully all of this put together will improve his protection of life to where he doesn't feel like he's going to overdose. The ethical decision that we made had to deal with talking to the judge. We had to go speak to the judge about forfeiting Alex's bond so that no one could bond him out, and the judge approved it. He decided that his protection of life was more important than his freedom. And then we also decided that to kind of give a suggestion to the judge. As probation officers, we do what's called a pre-sentence investigation. And at the end of it, the probation officer recommends what they think the person should get. And we recommended that Alex gets 180 days jail, as well as completion of a substance abuse treatment. So what that would mean is he would be in jail for 6 months, but he would be in residential treatment, and that would coincide with his jail time. and as soon as he was done with his treatment, he would go right back to jail. So this will be 6 months of being clean, as well as getting the services he needs to learn how to handle life without being on the drugs. And although we don't know if that'll work for him, we're hoping that it'll give him a better chance of protection of life than going out and being on his own where he's most likely going to overdose. Areas of success and struggle for this. The areas of success is that we managed to keep Alex out of immediate harm. And we also decided that him being in jail means he cannot have access to the heroin. So it was a success. We're currently protecting his life. But the areas of struggle is, how long are we able to protect him from himself? Just because we made this suggestion to the judge about jail and treatment doesn't mean that's what he's going to get sentenced. And we could just be, putting off the inevitable, that he's going to get out, he's going to use, and he's going to overdose. But we did what we could in the immediate situation to try to help him. Engaging in career-long learning with this, one thing that was really hard for me with this and what helped was using supervision and consultation. I talked a lot with my agency instructor about the ethical dilemma, and even on previous ones, like I mentioned in class a few weeks ago about the guy who possibly brought a gun. I've learned a lot of things about ethics and how to handle them appropriately through my agency instructor. And also recognizing and managing personal values, I also feel like helps you with your ethics, because if you know who you are, you're going to better be able to help other people. And then refer to the NSAW Code of Ethics when faced with an ethical decision. That's our Bible. We're going to use that for everything, and being up to date on it and knowing that from cover to cover is going to help you in every way, shape, or form. And then going to trainings on anything that might be there for ethics, any little bit of will help. And using strategies, making plans on what's going to happen if you get faced with an ethical dilemma. It's going to be difficult. It's not always going to be black and white. But as long as we engage in career-long learning and we know how to best handle it, then situations like the one I just talked about, even though may not be long-term, we know that right now we did the right thing. And there's my reference page.
Thank you.